You're watching The Couch right here on ZTN Prime. This is the biggest football show anyway in the country right now, and it's happening right here on ZTN Prime. My name is Howard Msonza. In studio, I'm joined by the Couch squad. Well, today we only have Veronica and David, but we've got a special guest in studio. We'll be talking to the special guest. But guys, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Favorably good.
Okay, I had three good.
Yeah.
I'm good, good, and?
Favorably good.
Okay.
Oh, favorably good.
This is a new one. Is this what they're teaching you in Botswana?
Because of course it's Rupina about.
Ah, okay. How was the past weekend, Veronica?
It was okay. Missing a bit of football, but
we had plenty of football. The Warriors were playing.
Exactly.
I'm just used to the stadium
okay.
environment.
Okay.
Talking about local football.
Okay. Anyway, I'll talk to our guest, the guest that we've got today, so that whenever there are games outside, you go and, just enjoy the ambience of different stadia around the world.
Yeah.
So if the Warriors are in Morocco, you go to Morocco.
You know, as a feature writer, you always want to be in that space. You want to enjoy the moments with them. Yeah.
All right, so what are we talking about today? We are focusing on the men in the middle. Yeah, we're looking at the referees and how much power do they have. That's what we are discussing today. So before we invite our special guests today, just quickly going through some of the training stories that we've got. The senior men's football team, the Warriors, had two teams this past week in action, one in Morocco and one in South Africa, which a lot of people are calling the emerging Warriors. So yeah, we played the COSAFA tournament. Unfortunately, we lost one game, we drew one, and we won the last game, but it was not enough to take us through to the next stage. Instead, South Africa went from the group that we were in. Remember, we drew against Mauritius. We were beaten 2-0 by South Africa, and we beat Mozambique by 3-1. These were the results that came from the emerging Warriors in South Africa. Then there were two friendlies that we played against Burkina Faso and against Niger in Morocco. First against Burkina Faso, we lost by 2-0, and against Niger it was a 1-0 draw. This game was played last night. So what takeaways from the two friendlies in Morocco for you?
Yeah, I think for me the major issue was basically on the rebuilding exercise. It feels good to see a young crop of warriors coming into the spotlight without the big guys anywhere in the picture, close by in the picture. So I think in terms of building for the future, we're just hoping to see some continuity, because obviously the big guys who were not there, they are now nearing their exit, and we are looking at these younger guys who were there now for them to fit in those boots on the big guys' boots. So I think that was a good start for us in terms of rebuilding. We need as many friendlies as we can as we prepare for the AFCON. So I'm just hoping that we're going to see a bit of continuity, at least from what they showed us, especially in the second game. You could see that there's a direction that we are taking. You could see the direction that we are taking. So I'm just hoping to see some continuity.
Any players worth mentioning? Because mostly those were the fringe national team players. Anyone worth mentioning that maybe Michael Nice can look at and say, okay, this is my core team, but I think you can get in there.
I think Jonah Fabish, we would want to see him more. I would also want to see Bill Antonio more, because I feel that at least those guys have got something that they can give us with more exposure. If they continue to come, we could be building something worthy to keep.
David, for you, going down south, the COSAFA tournament, anybody worth mentioning? What is your assessment? Because Michael Nee says, look, these are developmental. It was more of a developmental tournament, and the development that we are looking at, also, obviously, the ultimate is the Warriors team. So, from what you saw, anybody worth mentioning? What was your overview of the whole tournament from a Zimbabwe perspective?
Yeah, I think we've got very good youngsters that are coming up, but I felt maybe we took them to COSAFA, which is a men's tournament rather than a boys tournament. For me, because if you're going for a tournament, you need to go there well prepared. that this is a tournament, we want to compete, we want to win the tournament. Yeah, there are tournaments for development, which is under 17 and under 20. Those are the tournaments for development. If you go to COSAFA, remember you are playing some nations who want to win COSAFA, and remember for us, we have won it before 6 times. So winning the tournament, I think it has to be something that we get used to, because this is the nearest competition that Zimbabwe can win. You know, because we have won it. We can talk of winning the tournament because we have won it several times. So I still feel, Howard, kuti takaendesa vana and with few guys that we thought maybe these guys can still go on and compete in the A team. Yeah, this is a team that is comprising of local best players, but we have to field some of the youngsters that are coming up. And Menzi, Mazwi, we have Padera, Prosper Padera as well. Those are the boys that I can mention, Kuti. These boys can be the future. Why? Because they're already playing outside Zimbabwe. You know, the boys that are still playing locally, they need to step up a bit, especially in terms of being consistent. Some of them, even Kuma clubs, they are not even playing. So, Tikada Kuti Tibati, we have to consider them for the future warriors. They might not, because remember, not everyone, Agenda COSAFA Gogwe, will progress to play in the main national team. Maybe muno gonna pinda 1 or 2. Ndo zvinongoita bora. Kune vamwe vatori over 23 who can still challenge to play in the main national team. So, to those boys that went to COSAFA, yeah, we saw yesterday that was a better performance compared to the South Africa match. The match that they played yesterday against Mozambique, they showed character. They showed exactly these boys can keep on developing. As long as they continue playing, especially kuma tournaments, mamu ezera ravo, kana kwanzwa kune under 20. Those boys, some of them, vachiri kutokwana ku under 20. They should go back and play again. Never zera ravo and show maturity.
Right, and our next story, we focus on Highlanders who got a timely boost from businessman Wicknell Chivayo, and he pledged about $1 million for a period of 12 months for Highlanders to just beef up their talent and cover some of their signing on fees. And well, immediately he has said that he'll give them around $250 just to make sure that the money is used wisely. So we've seen, Veronica, teams in the PSL who are struggling at the moment. You know, talk about, I think I'll just generalize because people talk about the traditional giants.
Yes.
Here you talk about Caps, Dynamos, your Highlanders. Things have not been good for them. And you look at a team like Dynamos, if there is a team that's really in need of money right now, is them. You know, there are issues, especially with FIFA directing them to pay those 2 Ghanaian players, Apaga and Frederick Ansa Bochwe. So what does this mean for Highlanders?
Yeah, I think that's a boost which they so badly needed. And just like you rightfully said that these big 3, they've been struggling, but which should not be the case. Look elsewhere, where you see the traditional giants, sponsors will be scrambling to get a chance for them to be associated with the big clubs. But when it comes home, it becomes a different story. But I believe that these are big brands who probably need to introspect and see where they are getting it wrong. And the biggest issue that I believe could be the major factor that drives away corporates and the other sponsors to want not to associate with these clubs is an issue of accountability, I believe. So I think that's one of the major areas that they probably need to look into. Because when we talk of brands, we cannot be talking about the big 3. They are already big brands that were established way before that was Arwa Isus. So obviously, something is just not going right somewhere. When you see sponsors going elsewhere, vachitosarudza kunodila with the PSL newbies neglecting the giants, that should not be the case. So I think the issue of accountability needs to really be looked into if they want to turn things around.
We've seen stability in terms of finances from the new teams. You know, Scotland, Moors, even Zimbabwe, but financially they're a bit stable. And now you look at the traditional giants, wobbling. things have not really been going on well. Remember, Chivaya again paying that debt that Highlanders owed to Baltimore Brito, because now they were said you can't go on the transfer market. He cleared that, and we have seen this again. But when you see him coming back again to do such a thing, is this the direction that these clubs should be taking, or they should be looking at models that are self-sustaining?
I think they need to look at models that are self-sustaining. And if you look at these traditional giants, big three, Havana yatinoti supporter drive here. Yakuti they should be talking about the supporters every time. Panotanga gore kutakuri in your membership yedu ne so much, and hakuna chinonzi life member. If you want to have a member driven, thing chekuti munokwanisa kuita sei kunge mari dzenyu, because we have seen it working, especially ku Scotland at the moment. They've got a lot of member driven nengereni zvavari kuita zviri kuita sei zviri kuita kuti vanhu vakawanda vade kujoina chi.
I thought Highlanders were like that.
I haven't seen them doing that. Imagine it hapa middle of the season Highlanders vari kutanga income generating yavari kuita yema supporters yema replica jerseys. That thing chinofana kunge chichitoitwa panotanga season chakuitwa pakati pegore rakutopera, and they need to bring out another and replica ravanofana kutounza futi for next year. That should be something chekuti vanofana kunge vachitogenerator nacho mari. They need to bring in schemes akawanda ekuti for Highlanders, especially ukadotarisa with the fan base that they have in Blaawai, to be honest, they can sustain themselves year in year out. Pasina mwe munhu ari kumboya uzopindira pamwe that munhu ari kutopindira une company yake anenge achitouya kuzoinjector because ari kuziva kuti kuri kuitwa zvinhu zvakaita sei, kuri kuitwa zvinhu zvakarongeka. And we also have Dynamos with the figure fan base that they have, the whole country. We talk of Dynamos, the whole country. Who doesn't support Dynamos?
Are you talking about the current Dynamos or
no? Chero Dynamos ikange yanzi yadzokera futi back to the Dynamos yekuma 80s 90s ichiwina zvayaiwina zvazve, and mwana wese wanted to be associated ne blue and white. But right now, who wants to be associated ne brand risiri kuunza kana anything? We watching Dynamos playing my games Murufaro, and it's in a sorry state, and we want a better Dynamos. Kuti bora redu ringe richiita richienda kumberi. We want a better Caps United. We want a better Highlanders performing in our local league. So these manyubies ari kutaurwa naVero kana achinge achiuya anosvika edawo, not kuti anobva enda pamusoro pe the traditional big three. Right now the traditional big three vari pasi pe those new teams that are coming in.
All right, let's go on to our last story, shall we? And Caps United have once again gone beyond the country's borders in search of a prolific goal scorer for the third time in less than a year. And they are currently, they unveiled yesterday DR Congo forward Charles Mugalu as they continue searching for solutions to their attack despite having scored 10 goals in their last 14 games. So Mugalu joins his compatriot Mabiala, who joined back in December, and there's also a Cameroonian Joseph Mbolo who joined back in August, and there's also Ishmael Wadi who's trying his luck for a return to Caps United. So this is the story that has been doing the rounds, but I don't know, because you write about these players and these clubs. Caps going for a 34-year-old. I'm not doubting his qualities, because I hear he's been scoring because he was in Zambia. But going for a 34-year-old, what are we saying?
We are saying they are desperate and they are trying to do whatever it is.
It's desperation.
Desperation, clear desperation. Because a 34-year-old, obviously, is already in the twilight stages of his career. So what are we looking for? We are looking for someone who can just save us in the meantime, to figure out the ultimate plan, your future. But for now, for me, this is an act of desperation.
But isn't this the Caps United way, though? Remember, in the past 3 or so seasons, people composing my songs, Chembere Zalodza, remember Lloyd Chitembo was there.
If we are saying this is the Caps United way, are we saying this is the Lloyd Chitembo way? Because this was Lloyd Chitembo sitting at the helm.
It's the technical director.
So, we are simply saying Lloyd, as the technical director, he still has the influence in terms of recruitment of players.
No, I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Not a good idea.
It's a stopgap measure.
Not a good idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
On a coach's point of view, Howard, these are some of the decisions that even when you coach, you might do for the last 6 months. And could you go already just prepare. And you would want someone who can give you those goals. Yes, people might look at age. Sometimes it's not about age. Sometimes it's about experience. And in front of the goal, could he, if this guy can give me maybe 10 goals in the next 6 months, at least we know the club in Engaji per certain level.
So I hear you from a coach's perspective. But here is somebody who's coming into a foreign league.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like it's come a billiard who's coming back from South Africa.
Yeah, but
this is somebody who is foreign. He needs to come here, learn the culture, learn even the football that's played here. And you are talking about 6 months.
Yeah, but Howard, we have seen it happening all over the world. Yeah, with the best coaches in the world, we have seen this happening. And if it doesn't work, then think to coach a fail. If it works, we say yeah, coach does it, coach a gonna. So it's two ways. Yeah, we have to look at now. Is this guy going to bring exactly what the coach wants? Because the coach has worked with this guy in Zambia before, and this guy, remember, has played in Tanzania for Simba SC, and Sakatukudi's coach has got trust with this guy. If it was me, maybe a local coach, I wouldn't have gone foreign. But remember, Caps has got a foreign coach, so he knows the player better than everyone else. So it's a gap, Howard, Rudaku close, because he has seen good to know we are scoring goals, but goals are not enough. You better lick goals, and muji winner magoi satakawanda when you're licking goals, because remember, Caps has been conceding goals week in, week out, but the team has been scoring goals.
Okay.
So he still wants to see his team scoring more goals.
Talk to us. What do you think? Do you agree with Veronica and David? This is a stopgap measure. Will Magalu work for Caps United in the next 6 or so months? Can he bring the goals that are needed at Caps United? Remember, they've scored 10 in 14 outings. Can he deliver on that? You're watching The Couch right here on ZTN Prime. I told you we've got a special guest in studio. Now, it's time to introduce our guest. We are joined by ZIFA Vice President Kenny Ndebele. Kenny, how are you?
I'm fine.
You got an upgrade.
I'm good.
Yeah, Kenny was the CEO. He was the CEO at the Premier Soccer League. Now you are the vice chairman for Zimbabwe Football Association. I can see you are good. You're looking sharp.
I'm tired.
We're just starting and you're tired. We're just starting, Kenny.
No, I'm fine.
You're fine.
Yeah,
you're
I'm
fine.
fine.
But how are things? Look, after the upgrade, I know the jurisdiction was a bit small in terms of the Premier Soccer League, because now it's the whole country.
The funny thing is I'm more relaxed, no pressure. I give instructions. I used to take instructions.
Now you're giving instructions.
Yeah, so at times I find myself with nothing to do, which I was not used to.
So I wanted to say the grey hairs are turning black, and I thought of swallowing my words. But hey, it's good to have you, Kenny. And today we are discussing issues to do with the referees. That's one of your portfolios.
Yes.
Yeah. Just briefly, take us through what are you doing as the vice president?
Okay. As the vice president, I oversee a number of committees. Technical development, competitions, referees. I think then the other one is not even overseeing, it's just for attention, the appeals committee, just to see that things as we start are in shape.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there's a break coming up, but before we go there, there's one question that I just want to ask you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just praying that after this we'll still be friends.
No problem.
Okay. There's one question in particular that I want to ask you.
Yes.
Because I know you're human.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm looking at Kenny Ndebele, who previously was the Highlanders chairman. Right. On top of that, because we used to joke around, talking about this, how your blood is black and white. Because your mates always say that during your university days, when Highlanders, were club, but you couldn't even eat. Yeah. How partial is Kenny when it comes now to issues to do with refereeing and all that?
No, be friends when we live here. I don't get involved in the day-to-day activities. Like I'm telling you, I'm overseeing technical and development. I don't even know how to coach. It's just the governance part we are reforming. Feel free, we'll be friends. Yeah. Yeah. Even if you go to, even during my term at PSL, when I was CEO, I was fully in charge of the league, and there was never a mention of Highlanders in us. In fact, I would not even dare to go to the clubhouse for the greater part.
Because people didn't know that you went for days without eating after Highlanders were beaten.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, in terms of doing my work, just follow the statutes, follow the rules and regulations.
Professionally.
We will be talking more about rules and regulations and statutes. So Kenny is the ZIFA Vice President, and he's our special guest today as we discuss refereeing in Zimbabwe, the man in the middle, their importance, and also how best can we find, common ground, because us as the media, we write about them week in, week out. I know the public also not really happy with refereeing in Zimbabwe. So that's what we are talking about. Stay with us right here on the couch.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. Karo mwana mnimambama mu studio. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika like where you are sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako yo afro chakuti ndo music manje no Zimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
Shona kana kuti chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe. Ndiwo rupawo rwako. Ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
You're watching The Couch right here on ZTN Prime, and in studio we're joined by ZIFA's Vice President, Kenny Ndebele, and we're discussing the referees and how important are they to a game. So I'm not the only one who's going to be asking you questions.
No,
they
no
also
problem.
be firing. You are in the firing line today. So Kenny, I think this past weekend was the first time that you addressed referees. Because of that cost that was going on, then you addressed that constituents. Sorry, we are focusing more on this portfolio here.
It's fine.
Because there's been a lot of talk around it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, so your first time to address referees. And I just caught a glimpse of, the speech that you gave. I was not there, but just a part. Maybe you said it somewhere. I didn't hear the strategic direction that you are taking with refereeing in Zimbabwe. What is the strategic direction that we as Zimbabwe are taking? Because why am I asking this? Because there's seemingly some chaos. Even during your time with the Premier Soccer League, you were inundated by calls about, standard of refereeing. Are you happy with what this referee has done? But maybe you were hamstrung because you were at PSL and the referees belonged to ZIFA. But recently we have seen a number of referees being suspended and all that. Yes, we'll talk about that. But what is the strategic direction that we are taking?
Like I will repeat that I don't want to deal with the referees because I'm not part of the committee. We are doing reforms, but these reforms will come through when our strategic plan is done. We've already started. We've come up with our mission. We've come up with strategic objectives. So the direction is to professionalize all our facets, be it refereeing, coaching, sports medicine, administration and management. So within the 4.5 months that we've been in office, we have been learning, we have been engaging, we have been consulting. The purpose of that address was just an official opening of a workshop.
Okay.
Yeah. So FIFA and CAF have particular interest in terms of training and development. They assist. We have many instructors in this country who are qualified to train. Maybe long term, what we have done is just out of interest, we advertised for younger referees, 18 to 25, to see how many could be interested. We received over 450 applications. So long term, we may, because we've made that inquiry, come up with an academy for referees. So it's not yet in place, but the direction is to improve all the facets of the Football Association. It's not a walk in the park. Yes. So I'm not sure whether I've answered the strategic direction part of it, but it will be refined. If there's an opportunity to come here or someone from the executive to come here, once our strategy is in place, to really explain.
But I know, because this committee, you are the guys that put it in place.
Yes.
So obviously, whatever they will do, they are taking a cue from you.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that, when Kenny is back home, he loses sleep over when you look at refereeing in Zimbabwe? Where do we rank when Kenny sits and says, okay, I am in charge of refereeing? What are the issues?
I'm not in charge of refereeing. There is a committee that is in charge of refereeing.
So you're in charge of that committee?
Yes.
Because they report to you?
Yes. So what happens is they also get direction from CAF and FIFA on all their needs in terms of training, in terms of development. Obviously, the cream then gets into the CAF panel, and there's continuous training. As late as last week, we had one of our lady referees who was sent to CAF for further training, and we had one of our referees in the under-17 tournament, and we had referees in the under-20 CAF competition. So the direction is training and development, if I can put it that way.
So I want to bring Veronica and David in as well. But this part you did not answer. When you are sitting at home, you're relaxing.
Yes.
And maybe a phone call comes through and you see it's Faith Mloy.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with the referees, or there's an issue. You hear that the game between Scotland and Chicken Inn abandoned in the 89th minute. Or you hear that, these are allegations. We are struggling to get a referee to officiate the Scotland and the Moors and Scotland game.
No.
So as Kenny, when you took up that portfolio, what were you thinking? Were you thinking, okay, I think this needs cleaning? Because you are coming from the PSL.
Yes.
Where, again, I will repeat, you are inundated by calls.
Yes.
Teams complaining about referees. Mm-hmm. The media, left, right, and center, writing about referees.
Mm-hmm. We have a crop of, like I'm telling you, we have a crop of very good referees. There will never be a point where the committee will call and say, we're failing to find a referee. As I'm telling you, we've got 14 referees on FIFA panel. So there's no need to really get someone to call and say we're having a problem. The administration side of it is handled by the committee.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Veronica, you guys write week in, week out. Okay, you're doing a match report at Rufaro. So this referee making very dubious calls, just for his sake. I know he has read the pieces that you guys have written. Just sum it up. When you talk about referees in Zimbabwe, what is it we're talking about? What are the things that quickly come to mind?
I think the issue of personnel, just like you said, we have very talented referees who are so well vexed with probably the changes in the laws of the game on a day-to-day basis. But my question is, do you feel that continuously looking at this problem from a match official perspective is enough? Do you have any plans in place maybe to also consider investing in technology? Because we have seen even Kunana Kosafa, where we are saying this is probably one of the higher stages of the game, but they rely so much on VAR. Almost every goal, almost every decision has to be checked. Shall we ever have that level of technology in Zimbabwe?
Yes, FIFA is actually assisting in that. Our General Secretary and the Referees Committee have been engaging, together with the Referees Coordinator, with FIFA in terms of implementing VAR. And I think this is one area where FIFA also raised it at the FIFA Congress, that they want to introduce VAR across the world. So very soon, of course, funds permitting it to be faster, but if not, then we'll get assistance from FIFA. And then the one thing that I wanted to point out as well is that at every match, PSL match or Division 1 match, there's an assessor who assesses, not just commissioning the game, they give the referees marks on the performance and submit to the referees committee.
And this assessment system,
yes,
has it always been there in place, or it's something that you had to implement of late?
No, it has always been there. We only call them commissioners, but they do two functions. One, to oversee the organization of the match, where they do a report to the competition organizer. And then there is an assessor's report, which goes to the referees committee. At the end of the year, when they say this is the referee of the year, it's based on the marks that they accumulate during the season. And when they select a panel that goes to FIFA, they will be looking at those marks. But as for VAR, it's coming through. I can't put dates because I'm not even involved. I just hear the workshops or the discussions with FIFA that are taking place right now.
David, David has played the game. Now he's coaching. He's going through his CAF B coaching course. And probably you will be very soon one of the most vocal guys, because we know, coaches and referees. You have seen it. I remember there was that workshop that we did, when you were still at PSL, and coaches were fuming that you are gagging us. We want to talk about referees and all that. So, David, you played the game. From the time during your heyday up to now, has the refereeing situation improved?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that is happening in terms of football, technically, tactically, everything. And if you look at it, Kudara, we used to have tackles from behind, which is now there's no more tackles from behind.
Yeah, because I heard referees telling me there's nothing called he's marking from behind. He's marking.
Yeah. Kudara, of course, they're going to mark a from behind. Uchito kwanza kubudirira. Even now you can kwanza kutora bora from behind, but rarely you find kuti anobudirira kachinji kacho anenge ari mafouls. But then most coaches tinenge tichiona kunge zvisiri fair. Why? Because there is a lot of diving in there. Saka referees, because of zvavari kudzidza and from a situations why they also learn, remember, from those situations. Videos are being played. kana foul yapiwa kana foul isina kupiwa, they are being asked questions in the laws of the game. Kuti ilochi, this is law what, and it, laws 11, laws 12, 13, something like that. And also coaches, remember, they also do those laws of the games as well. But to interpret them now, remember, is the referee's discretion. You can interpret the laws of the game. Sometimes you get favors, sometimes you don't get favors, and it, which is supposed to be normal. Coaches, you can't get everything, you know, right? Like what you've said, just said to Vice President Guti, you are human. Yeah, referees are also human. They make mistakes. Coaches are also human. Yeah, they make mistakes in terms of their team selections and all.
You have to sneak in the coaches in there.
And yeah, because so in Nini, as much as refereeing aitwa Felix Tangwarima, Wilfred Mkuna, Tendai Buganya, Tishuya Takadaro, and Anamakonese, Masakaza, Tishuya Takadaro, Anna Gombu. Zvinotofana kuita zvichitochinja. Irambe yakadaro. Remember, it depends on my characters, my referees as well. How do you tolerate my players? And unofana kunzwisisa as well. Kuti my players normally kana vakamhanya. What happens? And it kana awina bhora, awina zvisirizo. Sometimes my emotions because anenge ari high. And it, so my referee now, some of them they now do understand. Kuti yes, players kana amhanya akaita foul akazodi, and it, but tukuti isusu zvinhu zvese Howard tikada kuva compare kuti Felix Tangwarima na Brighton Chimene now who is the best, tinenge tichitokanganisa because time yakaridzwa na Felix Tangwarima ne time yakuridzwa na Brighton Chimene, there is a lot that has changed, and it, in between kuti kuma 80s nokuma 90s nezvakuitika between kuma 2000s 2010 now kuma 2025 zvakatosiyana, and even Felix wacho ndo vakutodzidzisa ma referees kuti this is what is supposed to be done. Ivo ma referees acho mazwano, they also need to learn in terms of tackles, in terms of behavior yema players, you know, because my players ego zvinezvi nema players ekudhara zvakatosiyana. There is a lot Howard that is happening. So my referees vari kuiswa pakati, remember, and pakati pavari kuiswa pari kupisa, because every mistake iri kutariswa now, because ndo vato kutozivikanwa more than kutodarika mamwe ma players. Kunze referee wemuZimbabwe anonzi Ningiwa, maridziro anoita anofevhera team yakati anozodai, but sometimes ukada kutozvitarisisa, it's about imimi ma players, how do you express yourselves kuti ma referees azinga ari kuside kwenyu or asiri kuside kwenyu, and but tikuti isusu kuti ma referees anga achisvika pa level ravari kuda kunge vachisvika, it's about consistency, because refa akaridza nhasi pamwe tozomuona after 3-4 games, consistency yacho anoiwana kupi? That's where we find out these mistakes are coming up. Sapano paidiwa consistency in terms of my referees.
So I'm just going to pick it up from there, about refereeing being in the eye of the storm, because everyone is just talking about referees. You know, you wake up, referees have been. So there was this day a couple of weeks back. We woke up and there was a statement from the Zimbabwe Football Association. We have suspended Zimondi, we have suspended Meke, we have suspended Mbire, right? And I'm looking at maybe the reasons behind the suspensions vis-a-vis what probably FIFA would term as something that can warrant a referee to be suspended. And one thing that I picked from there was if a referee makes a decision that affects the outcome of a game. And I'm looking at those three that were suspended initially. Maybe it was Mbire, because his decision then changed the complexion of the game. But for Meke and for Zimondi, there was nothing like that. Caps were still going to lose to Highlanders. There was nothing like that. But that's not where my question really is. My question to you, Kenny, you set a precedence, you know, because before we had never had anything like that, you know, referees are publicized, you know, the association will wake up and say, how sustainable is such a practice?
Okay.
Why am I asking this? One, referees on different media platforms, imagine today there's that statement, tomorrow she's the referee. How is she going to handle a game knowing her counterpart was suspended yesterday? One, the stakeholders are different. You've got Chicken Inn and Scotland playing, right? Every decision that the referee is going to make, mind Marvel, what are they thinking? Because they know that these other referees were suspended.
I don't know which question you've asked. 4 questions. Maybe we take it to break your
all right,
questions
it's okay.
one by one.
Yeah.
And then I got what you're saying, but we want to clearly explain
Okay, let's start from the sustainability.
the sustainability.
Yes.
We have already got a code of conduct which has been circulated and given to all the referees, which was done by the referees committee and brought to us. And then it's been sent to all the referees to say, you follow A, B, C, D. Just like the coaches will have their own to say deliberate handball, it's a red card, it's a yellow card. I'm not familiar with this. But you know the what are the consequences of doing a certain action. Yeah, so there is a code of conduct that has been circulated. And it's in place now. And it's not only in Zimbabwe. From the way I saw it, these people were so quick to come up with it. I think they were just picking from other countries.
Okay.
Because it's there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the second point was what were sustainability? What was the other point? The other one, of course, maybe I'll also come up in a broader way. How much pressure were you having from fans, or what you were getting from the fans as a broadcaster in terms of fans complaining to say what is happening to the referees, and some of the games were abandoned and people kept on, even club officials were coming to say, but nothing is happening to the referees.
I thought there was something happening to the referees but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I also
when,
think
when we started, he said something that I picked. He said, so you hear the referee was taking charge of this game this week, and for the next 4 weeks you might not even hear about the same referee. Then after 4 weeks you hear the referee
that problem that he's saying he's talking about consistency, which is different from what you're talking about, which I agree with him, because at some point we had a very huge referees committee, a panel. So even now it has been reduced, even for commissioners. I think we are now around 27. At some point we're almost 40 for 9 games a week. So you'll see now there's consistency, that the referees is either the 4th official this weekend as is in charge the following week, so that the FIFA encourages these referees to participate more. So you realize that this year there will be no promotions from Division 1. So keep the same pool so that they are there. But the point is, we have stakeholders in football. You as media, the sponsors, and the general public. They want to know what has happened. This is not an armed struggle. It's a game. I think the day we all enjoy football and say it's a game, all your cameras will be safe at the stadium.
So I hear you, Ken. I want to throw in a caveat to what you're saying.
No, don't throw a caveat, throw a question.
Okay.
We address it.
Okay. So a week before, those 3 get suspended.
Yes.
Right. Then Scotland plays against Chicken Inn. 89th minute. Bit of a crowd trouble and all that. And a referee makes a call.
Yes.
The game abandoned. Right. Don't you think that decision to publicize the suspension could have also detrimentally affected how the referee handled that game?
Well, that's your question. But I thought before that you were coming to what I was expecting you were going to ask, whether that referee should have been suspended or not.
No, we'll come there. That's why I say, can I throw in a caveat to what you're saying?
Yes. I said to Veronica, the referees have assessors. They assessed at every point. So the suspension does not come because you spoke about it on ZTN or Veronica wrote about it in the Herald. It is the mark that the referee assessor has given and put a comment. The suspension is not about what you think.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I know they also want to come in, but my last question now before they come in, where did that communication come from to say we have suspended so and so, so and so, so and so? Because I know it did not come from the referees committee.
Yes, it came from our communications department. The communications department has got a liberty to publish whatever.
So you're missing.
Except-
You're missing my point.
Yeah.
Obviously, communication from the organization,
Yes.
it goes through different channels.
Yes.
Even communication from Zim papers also comes through from different channels.
Yes.
My question is, the communications department, for them to say, did that communication come from the referees committee or it came from your office?
The referees committee don't write letters. They make decisions, whatever they come up, they give it to the general secretary, who then writes to the referee, copy the committee, copy the executive, copy her communications department, and it's published.
So in this case, the general secretary got the information from your office.
Which office? I don't have an office. The office is the CEO's office. Zifa is run by the secretariat.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but
so
you are in charge of a committee that deals with referees.
No, understand this. Maybe let's take another committee because I know it's contentious with the referees. I'm in charge of oversee the Technical and Development Committee. This workshop that they're having today, or the course CAFC, I only see that they will have a course on the 11th, 12th of June for 26 days and so forth. It doesn't come to us. The technical director with the general secretary, I think when I was CEO at PSL, they were then saying, no, this PSL CEO has got too much power. This first CEO is so powerful.
Okay. I hear you. So, Veronica, as we head for another break, so here are the issues that are there. All right. His issue as the vice president, like he say, maybe at policy level, putting the strategic direction. So when all these things are happening, I'm thinking they are happy with all these decisions that are coming through because they are part of the policymakers. They are giving the strategic direction. All right. So when we then try to ask questions, do we go to the general secretary or do we go to his office?
Or do we go to the referees committee? Where does the referees committee stand in this? When we get communication from the CEO, Zifa, when we get communication signed by the CEO at Zifa, it simply says Zifa is in charge of all this. So where does the committee come in?
It's up to the general secretary. I came here because I was told to come here. Mike sent me a message to say go to ZTN. Then GS, is this correct? Yes, go. Yesterday they told me go to the course tomorrow. I don't just drive from Blawa and attend the course. Last week they said you don't come to Blawa, there's a course there. Go and address. Like, you saw my speech on behalf of the president. I'm here. I'm not running away from anything, but I'm trying to explain that football, the clubs that we're talking about, the earlier one that we're talking about, sorry, I'm digressing a bit, it's because there's lack of that structure. Wait for us to get to December. When you call me here, I'll be asking you questions because you must have a direction. You must have a body that comes up with policies, you are saying. And then we have an implementing a body which is headed by the CEO, the general secretary, who then directs all these things. For us, we come up with the policies. No, you don't have a code of conduct. Put up a code of conduct.
But is this what's happening?
Yes.
Or you're directing the orchestra from somewhere, maybe from your farm or in an office somewhere?
No, the General Secretary is in charge.
You're watching The Couch right here on ZTN Prime. In the studio, we are joined by ZIFA Vice President Kenny Ndebele as we are talking referees. And, are they really in charge? What's really going on in that sector? That's why you're here. The Couch squad is also here, Veronica and David. We'll be right back.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
We're still here. You're watching The Couch, the biggest football show anyway in the country right now. And in studio, we've got ZIFA Vice President Kenny Ndebele. 4 months into the office. 4.5. I go back to when you guys were campaigning. I think the general campaign theme from most of you guys was we want to get rid of the mess in football. Right. So I'm going to borrow something from what we were talking about before the break. Publicizing of these referees, is it your way of getting rid of the mess in football?
No, it's not about embarrassing anybody. It's about communicating and being transparent. I asked you earlier on, how many times were you inundated with questions of, say, what are you doing with these referees? Because you are getting good feedback about these announcements from football fans. And
oh, really?
Yes, I can show you.
Because after suspending those three from the good feedback, you suspended another one.
It doesn't matter. The code of conduct is not for 1 week. It's a standard document that will be there. It can only be improved with consultation from the referees themselves. If they come at the end of the year and say, let's amend this and that.
Okay.
Yes.
One last question from me, then Vero and David can come in. So one of the issues coming from the referees themselves, or maybe from the refereeing circles, they are not happy about the situation they find themselves in. It's not about the suspensions or anything, but it's about them saying it's a self-sponsored profession. What do they mean by this? I was writing it down. So they're saying referees affiliates using their own resources. One, they pay for their own development, even on FIFA-sponsored courses. Number two, they purchase their own equipment, including basic communication gadgets, which we see some referees using, because you watch one game, referees have got, the next game, referees don't have. There's the little thing they put behind, there's a free kick, you see them spraying. Some referees have, some referees don't have. What steps has your executive taken so far to ensure that these referees don't use their own resources to sustain the profession?
So that we've limited time. We raised this during the workshop that we want to improve the welfare of referees. It's important. We did some calculations. Our commercial manager, Mark Rack, has got the figures where we're going to corporates to seek assistance. So we are cognizant of the challenges that the referees are facing. We are making efforts to improve. We raised that without your question in this speech that we raised last time, to say we want to improve.
How much timelines have you given yourselves to say, okay, here's a profession in dire straits, so this is what we're going to do, maybe in the next 2 months, in the next 4 months, in the next 6 months?
Yeah, I indicated that we are doing a strategic planning process. Just like the coaches, they've got big problems. Sports medicine we're not doing. Administrators are also having a problem. We're voted in office for a period of 4 years. We've done 4.5 months. We're still of the four. And we are confident that we will work with your support to improve the football in Zimbabwe.
So we then need to look maybe at it after 4 years?
No, we will review continuous. That's why I say we are coming up with a plan.
Okay.
Already our commercial department is looking for that kind of support.
So, Veronica, he spoke about, the communication that he started doing the rounds about the video assistant referee and all that. I look at Zimbabwe in terms of the adoption model. We are more like laggards. We've got our own issues, but now jumping onto VAR, if it does come, because now people are talking about it, is it going to improve our situation in terms of the refereeing from what you have seen? You cover games week in, week out.
Yeah, I think in a very big way, because when they continue to have these workshops, when we continue to have our officials going for FIFA trainings, for refresher courses, it means that they are trying so much to keep up with the laws of the game, but without the required technology, then there is still going to be some loopholes that will continue to derail the development of our game. So I believe that with VAR and the continued refresher courses working hand in hand, I think this can see us going somewhere with the game.
David, as I'm sorry, you're a coach today, so we'll be throwing in some coaching questions. We have seen the coaches animated, whether it's Mapeza, it's Tekshua Chiragi, or even the new guys who are there like Bakala, kind of remonstrating against the referees. You see them going to the fourth official. You see them. Are we going to see an end to that? Yeah, from your perspective?
I think we need to respect each other. Remember, that's the most important thing. Yes, we can challenge every decision, but decisions normally they don't change just because you went to the fourth official and start complaining. You get into the pitch, complain to the referee and say something like that. But I think the main thing in respect for each other, and for referees as well. They need also to understand one thing, that they make decisions. Sometimes it's not Zingisa Makochi. They make decisions. Sometimes it's not that Makochi win my titles. So it's something Chaguti. They need to work hand in hand with the coaches, like the suspensions that we all talk about. My assessors ndo anengachita maji. Mamax. It's not about the coaches, but let's respect each other, right? Between the referees and the coaches, because kuna mungu anototi ineni kana ndiripo ineni award afana kuwina. You understand? Anotobva kumba kwakaine agenda. Saka sometimes those agendas kills football, especially the spirit of football. And because that's I only had a question and I don't open the kuna vice president, apart from the question that you opened award, are we ever going to see my names and my referees being published and midweek prior to the game? So and so referee is going to be refereeing the Harare derby. So and so referee is going to be the referee between Moors and Scotland, because already there is a derby in Ngeri Papo. Because these are part of the games that are there. Because kana watu referee atisi kuti isusu chipiwa ma small games, Greenfield versus Triangle, because of Mdiki. We want you to grow. So how do you grow? Kana usinga piweji magame. So inendukuti kwa vice president, are we ever going to see the publication yema referees? Because remember the whole week is Center referees are 18. Because the fourth official is a center referee, and there is a center referee. 18.
So we've got about a minute. But his question, you know, you were with PSL. We've got fixtures coming out.
Yeah.
On a Monday. Are we going to get to a point where Dynamos versus Bikita, it's David Sengu taking charge of that game on a Monday when the fixtures come
and his assistants?
Well, it's something that probably, as we develop, the committee can look at.
Okay.
And then come to the executive and say, we are suggesting we do this.
Or is the executive going to suggest on behalf of the committee?
What we are saying here is...
When you do your policy?
No. Policies come from below. And then we push them. But you said we have a minute. What I want to thank you as well is your broadcasting of live matches. It has changed. I mean, without VAR, yes, but people are able to then look at the matches, we play slow motion, and then they see. Because anyway, VAR won't do without
so say
broadcast.
Say it looking at your camera. Say it. What do you just say? This one is
Which
your
one?
camera.
This one?
This one, yes. Look at it and say it.
Yes, I will probably say it in a different way. Television is very important in the development of our game of football. Like Veronica was saying, in terms of VAR you can't do. I mean, they even tell you when they come to do inspections of the stadiums to say your VAR room must be 40 meters from the OB van. So you'll probably realize at times that you have fewer red cards in live broadcast matches, because every player wants to excel, wants to showcase.
Exactly.
So you are a very important component. Not that you invited me here. But TV is key. And for now, I'm happy we see football as far as the law field. Yeah. When I was at PSL, it was like, why are they doing Harare only? I said, Rodwell, so talk to Howard. But now I see you are all over. Please, you can even increase. How many cameras are you doing now?
6.
Go to 8.
Okay.
More offside cameras.
Exactly.
And then we won't have some of the issues are solved by what people see on TV.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Unfortunately, Kenny, we've run out of time. But Kenny, thank you. It's always a pleasure having you here, and thanks for coming through and discussing through the referee situation. I'm sure it's really pertinent because this is what people are talking about every single day.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Hopefully, we will have a part 2 of this conversation.
Up to part 7.
Ziva Vice President Kenny Ndebele talking to us about the issue of refereeing in Zimbabwe. Also, many thanks to Veronica and David at the Couch Squad. My name is Howard Msonza. Enjoy the rest of the viewing right here on ZTN Prime.